The very well-known scenario planner, Clem Santa, said the other day that what we should have in South Africa is a type of CODISA that focuses on entrepreneurship. So we had the CODISA was a conference that basically brought about the democratic dispensation of South Africa, and it was more of a political conference. And he said we need a new conference where everyone comes together and focuses on entrepreneurship.
That's not going to happen. That's the problem with this country. Everybody wants a dialogue.
Yeah.
Let us dialogue.
Yeah.
Let us dialogue. As you see here in the studio, I brought someone here from Malaysia and Europe so they can see South Africa, so they can see what I see. Because the whole outside world sees South Africa. What do we see? Okay, there was a shark attack 3 weeks ago in Jeffreys Bay.
And we had that lion being shot in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, but that's Zimbabwe. That's not South Africa.
But I mean, that's what the world sees.
Well, that's what they see. But they also see, Julius Malema being thrown out of parliament. They talk about, all this power nonsense and ESCOM all over the world. Oscar Pistorius. You have taxi people being dragged and violence in the mines and all that. That's what they see. Ebola, they're thinking that this is what happens.
Trevor Noah, I think, showed them how that's not the case.
Well, here's the thing. I'm a huge fan of Trevor Noah. I saw him in a concert at the Monte Casino in Joburg, and he was really funny, great guy. But it's kind of hard that you're putting a South African in an American show, talk about U.S. politics. If he doesn't make it, they'll say, "Haha, it's South Africa." If he makes it, we'll create some kind of excuse.
He'll make it.
But it's a big expectation. I mean, Jon Stewart was making $34 million US. It's one of the highest watched shows. So the expectation is huge.
He's a great entrepreneur.
Yes, but this is going to be big shoes to fill. I'm rooting for him, but he has not warmed up to. It was a surprise. It's like if we had an American host this show right now, like, what is this American doing here hosting this? And that's the thing. And Americans are very critical, very judgmental sometimes, and it's interesting. Someone made a point. You've got people dying all over the world. ISIS is killing thousands of women and children. A lion gets killed, and all of a sudden, it's the biggest news in America. And so, I don't know where the priorities are set. I'm going to be voting for him, cheering for him, because it's finally nice to see a South African be able to get out there. But then you see people like Elon Musk, who's probably one of the greatest success stories of South Africa of all time, but he gives South Africa no credit. Talks about how he got bullied in Pretoria. And we need heroes, models, and mentors in this country. And I'm blessed to have been able to be here for 2.5 years and create so much leadership and hope for a lot of people. I mean, just coming down here, the taxi driver recognized me. So, I mean, and I was recognized at the airport. When I was in Durban, I was recognized. And I've been recognized because I've been able to create thousands of successful stories by getting people to believe themselves, by giving them the think American, act South African. It's not that America is better than South Africa. In terms of marketing and branding, which is the essential of business, right? I was in an audience in Malaysia. There's 5,000 people there. And I said, name me one South African company. Not one person can name me one. Most of the world cannot name us. Once in a while you hear De Beers, but they think it's a beer company. The beer. But there's not one. Now, if we ask them to name American companies, they can name you probably 50, 60. And so we got to become better branded here in South Africa. And people think branding is bragging. It's really not. It's about making people aware and known about who you are, what you're about, what does your company deliver. And I think people need to rally together here.
Okay, so let's go back to that Elon Musk, and you spoke about bullying. Now, I watched the video about you, and you spoke about bullying as well. And in fact, one of our Fin24 Biz News editor, Alec Hogg, who has a partnership on our site, he also wrote about how his son was bullied at school. And it seems like a big issue around it, and how a lot of people overcome it and make it great.
Well, let's talk about how many people overcome it. We hear of these success stories like me and various other people, Elon, but how many people don't make it because they don't have the will or the resolves or the environment to want to push, right? I'd say for maybe, every 1,000 people that get bullied, maybe 2 or 3 make it. But it's just the stories get highlighted. Just like I was saying, you have one instances that make it look like everyone's bad. Ebola was a few cases, yet everyone seemed like it. I mean, America was on lockdown and we had 1 case, There was more cases of Ebola in America than there were in South Africa, and so.
But it's good for kids out there who are getting bullied to hear, or their parents to hear that it can make you stronger in a way, or you can overcome it. What is your message, having been someone who's
well,
so
I was
open
a stutter,
about
as you know, and I was a stutter. But you have to take a look at it in terms of bullying. Is that even, for example, we do a lot of marketing all over and on advertising. I'll put a picture of me and people make some comments. Okay. And I think people are crude. And I think bullying is other people who don't like the reflection of they see themselves in the mirror and they attack other people. And unfortunately, it's part of life. And you know, it leads to a lot of future problems. And I think people don't have a support network. And I think I think people need to get along to work together rather than attack each other. So listen, the message to bullying is, you know, all those who are bullied usually end up being the billionaires, you know, the Zuckerbergs and the Bill Gates and all that. And so they end up being great success stories. But I think people need to accept who they are. And I think we're very sensitive, and we need to learn to tune out. And for those who are bullying, shame on them. They'll have their judgment day one day. And what comes around goes around. I'm a big fan of karma. And you know, my whole life people said they made fun of me. Now they want jobs from me, or they want to attend my events or my seminars. So I'm a big believer that things like that do come around. But it's a shame, you know. I have two passions, children with cancer and youth entrepreneurs. And I think that's a lot of people here are even told that the youth entrepreneurs, that their parents don't think being in business. They think it's stupid, or they think that they shouldn't be. And now I'm getting involved at the University of Pretoria, the Steve Bilko Oncology Department. I'm going to be funding an entire wing for children with cancer and helping them, and see if we can make South Africa the sort of the test ground for all of Africa for children with cancer. And but the issue is, this country's not very charitable, because people are like, hey, listen, you know, I'm a victim. No one took care of me. Why should I take back? So then you have this American who comes down here, and if you don't like Americans, I have a Canadian passport. And to go out there and say, hey, listen, I'm going to make a difference. And this is me giving back this country. You can't just take from South Africa and then leave. Yeah. You know, some of the greatest people in this country, Mark Shuttleworth lives in Europe. You have people like Saul Kirchner, who lives in London. These have been amazing examples of South African entrepreneurship. People like Robert Gumede and Patrice Motsepe and Cyril Ramaphosa. I met Cyril. You know, one of the smartest guys I've ever met, but because he's black and in the ANC, automatically we assume that he did it through bribes. Well, that's not the case. Now, I'm sure when you're connected political, you get advantages. Look at the Clinton. You know, Robert Gumede, he's a very good friend of mine. I've seen people all over the world, and he's the only one who's ever done what he said he was going to do. Every single time. You have Patrice Motsepe, who gives billions and billions of charity. We need to celebrate these people, except we want to hit them down. And that's problematic.